Hey, what up guys, this is Silent Laws. While attempting to provide information on runs and history of the progress of Tony Hawk's Underground speedruns to the Speed Docs team, sick video by the way, you guys should check it out. And by no means is this video an attempt to outdo anyone, I swear, please don't be cross with me. I began writing a script, but when mulling over the details of each strat, its variations, the routes, goal selections, and the significance and fun facts about each run, got to be a little much. Upon further inspection, each category has a significant strat or run that I could speak on, so I figured I'd save us both some time and do that instead. Now, keep in mind, this is the first world record run that each strat appears in, not the first instance ever captured on recording, and not necessarily the first person that found the strat either. If you're interested, I'll throw my notes in the description. You know, a lot of work went into it. Just saying. I suppose a brief definition is also in order. Any percent timing begins when you hit done, and the ending timer is when you hit the last marker during the Eric's line goal. The ending time wasn't always this way, but that's what it is currently. You only need to do the goals required to progress in the story. You're allowed to use the View Goals menu to select any goal to automatically begin. For a time, some runners would try a hand at NG+, but mostly because they had a completed save file post Eric's line already. The only difference between any percent and NG+ is the exclusion of Eric's line because of the alternate cutscene. No Warp is an attempt at a more pure, mostly menuless speedrun similar to THPS4 any percent. No view goal warping, no level changing in the menu, no custom restarts, no quitting and continuing. The only exception is during the chapter containing the pro team goals when you need to use the menu. All story goals is just as it sounds. You have to backtrack and complete every single goal. If you navigate to the View Progress option, you should end up with 121 goals completed out of 129, being that 8 of which are preserved for the special slot goals scattered throughout the levels. 100% is also mostly self-explanatory. Completing a sick all story goals run, including the special slot goals, acquiring all the secret levels and tapes, scavenging all the levels for gaps, and so forth. Before the likes of speedrun.com, the premier domain for run submissions in the eyes of a large demographic of speedrunners was Speed Demo's archive. Although the progress for getting runs approved was a bit arduous, you needed a significant amount of skill, lack of mistakes, good video quality, nod of approval from peers and proof mods, and so forth. Capture equipment wasn't as widely accessible, runners weren't as motivated to hammer out a clean run, and the ability to upload files wasn't as easy because of poor quality hosting websites and, for some, mediocre internet. This led to runners oftentimes not recording runs at all and simply claiming them in a forum post or uploading their fruits of labor to a now defunct website. The only site that would stand the test of time was YouTube.com, although they had their own catches. Back in 2008, there was a YouTube time limit of a meager 10 to 11 minutes for most users, leading our first entry on the list to have a few unlikely characteristics.
That was some sick footage. Too bad no one ever saw it.
You backstabbing, mob-flipping cockroach!
Hey!
The initial sick any percent world records come from Nonsense 88. Based on other uploads on their channel and certain features in the speedrun, you could tell he played a fair bit in the heyday of online Tony Hawk. The runs have slight differences, but are pretty similar. The first video was submitted in August 2008 and had to have been sped up 8 times over, and the second was uploaded in 2012, but claimed to have been around a similar time period. Dissecting the 108 run, we see an early draft of Quick Muska. While the game prompts you to follow Muska to the first spot, being the pool in front of you, you can quickly crank out a combo either in place or heading opposite of the spawn point. With sick any percent, Nonsense busts a nasty combo heading towards the drainage ditch. This strat would later be resurrected in the form of Packle comboing in place during his early years of beginner any percent. Similar to the end of the game, the sick Savant flies up to the power line and hops along the rooftop similar to the Help Eric route, jumping across the way and executing a butt slap or trash slap to the roof of the house to acquire the last scrap metal piece. The origins of who created the butt slap itself is uncertain, but I've heard a rumor it was Torn TLT, an old school online warrior. By holding down Ollie and crouching, you roll off a ledge and perform a flip, grab, or special trick, and trying to squeeze out as many Ollie button presses as the animation begins. This glitch nets massive height, and with a prerequisite of enough speed, you can sail through the air very high and very far. Trudging forward to Tampa, the Wall Ride the Stickers goal showcases a slick wall ride to wall plant turnaround start to snatch the sticker by the strip club. We also are greeted with the Afro Gym task of making it to the top of Spot, usually accomplished by climbing a ladder. By using a technique called wall shuffling, Nonsense is able to quickly make it up to the desired destination. Wall shuffling is done by doing a wall ride, quickly getting off and back on your board to refresh, wall ride again, rinse and repeat. One of the earliest instances of wall shuffling is during the demo of the game itself by Andy THPS. What us numbskull thug runners would later have a revelation over had come naturally for Nonsense, as he smashes into the beach pineapple stand first as opposed to last, like most others had done after him. With an obtuse vehicle like a limousine, turning it around with a handbrake takes too long, and backing up after forward acceleration can cause slowdown. Just by way of realism, one would usually avoid driving straight into a wall or a pole in this instance. While with some cars you can collide with the aforementioned and handbrake to spin around, here we run into a pole and immediately reverse right after. The community at large would eventually adopt this for both poles near the start and the end of the goal. Nonsense opts to go out of bounds near the first pole and bonk off the second pole. And another butt slap strat during the Vancouver 2 goal. Taxed with the feat of not forgetting your shoes, there's a few ways up to the shoe rep. Nonsense produces a butt slap off the lip of the pool up to the shoe rep. Not sure if it's much a strat or just common knowledge, but during the Moscow spine transfer goal where you total the satellite tower, if you perform a 720, it nets 2 spins in 1. A 1080 will net you 3, and so forth. The straight out of Moscow goal has yielded several different routes, and runners usually stick to a specific one. This path is one I've never seen any but Nonsense do. Performing a wall ride positioned to the left of the ladder, up the wall, Nonsense is able to make it up, and they snake around the pillar to grind the colorful lights, runs past the guard in the tunnel en route to our boy Alexander. Breaking out some pretty well executed combos to power through the pitfall that is the Tampa THPS Challenge Pro goal. The second Nonsense run features a Muska poster route that mirrors one done by Pieters down the road. Although probably not intentionally because of a bale projecting him forward past the desired poster spot. Beautiful usage of the power slide mechanic during the Manhattan Nuts goal. A baby boost plant during the Tampa Am Best Trick contest, the last boost plant we'd see in a while. Throughout most of Thug's history, there's been an ever-changing meta for the posse roundup during San Diego. To simplify the description of each teammate, I've given them shorthand names. So I'd like to introduce Tower TM, Ledge TM, Fountain TM, Window TM, and Bush TM. Nonsense makes his way up to Tower TM, doubles back to Bush TM, skates over and does a butt slap off this lower ridge up to Ledge TM, and then concludes by finding the Fountain and Window TMs respectively. And a pretty unique strat of unchecking auto kick on to better stay in place during trick tris goals.
Skating is whatever you make it. It didn't change. You're the one that changed. Now go skate.
Fast forward to 2014, Pieters had long reigned as the single proprietor of normal no warp, but had also dabbled in beginner any percent by way of an NG Plus run and a now deleted sick no warp entry. But ultimately normal no warp was his home, with the advantage of superior gameplay and being one of the few in possession of the minimally circulated PC port of THUG1, the Dutch speedrunner was a step above the rest. Canadian speedrunner Silent Laws would arise and begin taking over less competitive categories before eventually overthrowing Pieters in his home domain of normal no warp. The two would have a friendly competition and share strats and ideas with one another. Despite Nonsense's public run and postings in SDA threads, nobody had used butt slaps since. Right before setting a new world record of 326 in THPS 2, George did a trial run through a THUG1 sick any percent. This run was littered with butt slap setups, bridge skip, the trash butt slap, drain the pool butt slap, bell butt slap, along with various quote-unquote air-out butt slap combos. Silent had shared this with Pieters, and it became a space race to get a solid run with all the butt slap strats included. Pieters would become the first to break through the sub 48 minute barrier with his 47:48 run, displaying a revision to the combo during the demo playground goal, despite a different scrap metal route and not going for the trash slap, but with a skitch, a quick shuffle on rails leading to the bridge, and a butt slap off the newly christened ramp, butt slaps were back into speedrunning meta for good. Piet also whips out a much improved first half of Rescue Eric. After grinding on various rails and ledges on his way to the bridge, Pieters cuts through the park to get to his destination quicker. Originally pitched by Yib, upon grinding the first Jed sign during Revenge, you quickly hop off your board and drop down below using the garage warp to get to the second sign quicker. On his way to the passes, Pieters wall rides up. Nothing too fancy, just a minor difference is all. During the closing chapter of Moscow, Pieters kicks things off with a grind off the half pipe through the hole leading to Kalo. Upon completion, he heads to Lenin's tomb, being sure to grind the top of it and breaking through to the other side utilizing the smashable window of Red Square. Turning left and going down the stairs to the anonymous caller mission, which in turn leads right to party favors when concluded. Overall, some pretty solid combos, especially this ballsy closing combo for the THPS challenge. This crazy motherfucker.
Sure, it's a needle, but moves like a sewing machine.
Next up is a category one could say is mostly lost to time. Silent Laws and Balls Pocket had one day raced sick all story goals, but Balls Pocket actually continued to run the category again after the race. The category was never made Speedrun.com official. This is the only run of the category I could find, but this speedrun has some unique characteristics regardless and deserves mention. Going from Eric Sparrow to Eric Sparrow, BP completes Help Eric, and because of the added last section of the goal, he keeps going forward to the drainage ditch for Eric's challenge. The auto-scroller section of Eric's challenge allowed Balls Pocket to take time to upgrade his manual stat to max. Helpful for the wall plant combo later on in Tampa, that's for certain. Piling on top of the multi-part scrap metal goal, BP does a sick porch grind into a drop down and transitions to a porch jump. During the Brat combo, Balls Pocket combos along by the factory area and lands at a safe zone on the bridge. Not sure if this little bit saves time, but it looks cool. So after collecting the final house piece, he jumps off the track and runs across to the other side of the tracks. And again here. Dusting off the old butt slaps for Help Student, Balls Pocket does a BS off the ledge up to the metro station to snag the purse item. He also executes some pretty decent skate spot combos, especially his Brooklyn Banks one. BP showing off more BPs, launching off the wall and racking up enough points to cap off the relative goal. For the initial sequence of helping the private eye, he does a series of power slides upon finishing each grind, and on the last portion of the goal, BP takes a diagonal path through the alley to the first dry cleaner checkpoint. In the twilight of Tampa, there's butt slaps and boost plants aplenty. A boost plant during the street comp, a butt slap over the top of the half pipe to acid drop, sprinkling some tricks in, and a boost plant up to the roof of Spot. The butt slaps would continue in San Diego, rocketing up to the top of the tower. Take that, Ralphie. Balls Pocket also holds the distinction of being the first world record holder to accomplish the Drain the Pool butt slap and attempt the hotel butt slap, but falling short of a complete ascent to the rooftop. My recollection of the origin of Hotel Butt Slap came as George posted various wall plant escalation setups and a few alternates for Hotel Butt Slap setups. The Hotel Butt Slap has been the cause of many runners' misfortune due to time loss and botched attempts at the dreaded Hotel Butt Slap. There's a butt slap up to Ralphie during his goal in Vancouver, an Era butt slap to kick off his combo during the reporter goal, an intriguing grind loop combo for the Slam City Jam vert comp, and he actually executes some pretty neat S combos. Much like Hotel Butt Slap, Bell Butt Slap has been a bit of a risky venture, although not as much as the former. Taking the execution of the particular butt slap and hitting the necessary trigger on the ledge in order to make sure the goal actually completes, it can lead to some slip-ups, but Balls Pocket pulls it off with ease. He had a pretty nice wrap-up to Moscow as well as some beautiful power slides on Anonymous Collar, and a hangover cure without any stumbles. His straight out of Moscow was a little different though. He snuck behind the first guard and, much like Nonsense, grinded the lights and moved sideways towards the ladder leading up to the bell ledge. Moving back to good old New Jersey, yet another boost plant combo during Score Big, and even more during the Tampa Teach PS Challenge. For the remainder of the Pro Team goals, solid gameplay on the Manhattan Challenge, and a slick butt slap set up off the ledge in order to land atop the roof. This next run is from a repeat offender in a repeat category, but due to the magnitude of this next strat, I just had to.
I gotta finish doing something here. These guys are gonna pay.
Leading up to this run, a few things had occurred. Thug runs had begun to improve their New Jersey game, with one of the last additions being a shortcut through the playground and a sketch of the drug dealer's SUV to reach the changeover zone for the second portion of the goal. Pieters had experienced some odd results from jumping at a specific spot in that area before, one of which was his skater assuming the place of the Street Warrior's car as the usual hot pursuit car chase portion didn't kick in. Controls for the vehicle were displayed on screen and the drug dealer's SUV was frozen in time.
Wait, can you maybe skip that part?
The second instance was the birth of Eric's skip. On an unsuspecting run, Pieters would jump at a specific spot and would trigger the completion of the goal at the changeover, and instead of a car chase, it sent Pieters straight to Manhattan. This run had the potential to be one of the most freak accident world record speedruns in all of Tony Hawk history, but unfortunately fate would prove to be a cruel mistress, or at least, soft lock Sean would. An unfortunate occurrence usually seen when mashing when reaching Alexander at the tail end of the straight outta Moscow goal. Eric's skip is a 3-frame trick that can yield 2 main outcomes: the quicker skater slingshot end result, or jumping ahead to the collision cutscene at the train station. This trick has baffled players since its inception, and I could make a whole video on the theories itself. Eric's skip is executed like a text box skip. Goals in Thug have a few different sequences. A simple pedestrian message prompted upon goal completion, a chapter-ending goal that plays a pedestrian cutscene, allows you to save and then jumps into a cutscene, or the goal can just end upon finishing the task at hand. I believe Daytime Moscow is a good goal to dissect. a chapter-ending goal that has the aforementioned 3 elements. My heavily educated guess is that while it is beneficial to skip all 3 upon landing with well-timed button presses, the main one you would want is to skip the save box, as it tricks the game into keeping the state of the previous chapter but carrying it over to the next chapter. This is well displayed on console, as you can easily skip the save box but not the cutscene and still get the spawn in the Devil's Dome in daytime Moscow. Now back to Eric Skip. Rescue Eric is a unique goal that presents a sequence of events only similar to one other goal: Revenge. Although you must grind signs before triggering a mid-goal ped scene, and then a car portion where you drive to an ending checkpoint, another ped scene, save box, story cutscene. Whereas you just ride to a trigger zone and rescue Eric before it puts you into the next sequence. Being that the save box doesn't pop up yet, it's perplexing as to why the game would warp you right to Manhattan with this particular well-timed button press. Eric Skip would go on to trigger thoughts of seeing what other goals you could possibly skip. Although it isn't the first text box skip, it was the most influential. Going forward to seeing the opening of Tampa, Pieter's would move forward and run right up the middle, grinding part of the half pipe, wall riding, and making a smooth descent to the security guard, following that mission up with the stickers and donuts goals. And throwing a little more flavor to his Vancouver Pro Goal combo, usually heavily centered on a string of special grinds, Pieter's would use Bam's other default special trick, the Jackass, to reach the point threshold quicker.
The electromagnetic forces you create will disable the tower. Trust me, I'm a scientist.
Similar to normal no warp, normal any percent is going to see some extra love as well, being that the strats featured were of significant enough importance. The main feature of this run is a trick of many names: Sub-Spines, named after Sub-Zero Reptile, the runner who originated the glitch, Moscow Spine Glitch, a little more on the nose description, or Stupid Spines, as labeled by Packle himself. Ace famously laid out the foundations of Tony Hawk math in an attempt to extrapolate on how many butt slap spins versus regular spins you need to complete the challenge, and attempt to illustrate how broken the in-game counters for Tony Hawk games are. Sub-spines have a lot of factors. If you butt slap while spinning, it will stack on all subsequent spine attempts as long as you get the gap, and you don't spine transfer before the butt slap spin. And if you do the same degree of regular spin as a butt slap spin, it will negate the effect of stacking from the butt slap spin. Keeping in mind that you can execute multiple full spins for more bang for your buck, 720 is 2, 1080 is 3, but anything less gets rounded down. Here's a few examples. Ideally you'd want as many spins as possible, but I don't expect someone to land a 1080, and I definitely don't expect someone to land a 1440, so I'll discard those. So I attempted to come up with some ideals. For a beginner, a BS 720, BS 900, and a regular 360 grants 11 spins. Normal, BS 720, BS 900, BS 540, and a regular spine with no spin nets 16 spins. Sick, BS 720, BS 900, BS 540, and 2 regular 360s ends up with 23 spins.
I gotta give it to you, that run was bullshit. No, in a good way though.
While there's nothing earth-shattering in this speedrun, Silent Laws does try some new things. Along with run-of-the-mill improvements on individual goals, he also tries to streamline goals from previous chapters to current ones, and occasionally trying to link together goals in the same chapter as well. Taking it from the top, Silent grinds the ledge to the left for a quicker path to the barriers. A slightly botched attempt, but upon completing the hardcore task of busting flower boxes, he tries to drop down to the air out of atrium goal. When picking up some honeys in the badass gardener cart, Silent backs up and drives over the grass en route to the First Lady. Now, to explain the reasoning for this next strat's existence, a little history lesson is in order. Ever since the exposure of Hotel Butt Slap, there have been shortcomings in runs, most boiled down to human error. Not enough speed, not enough butt slap height, clipping parts of the building or the overhanging ledge. Fogg had noticed that if you prematurely land on the roof prior to the climb the hotel goal, the warp point beside the vending machine would open, and you can use this warp point as a drop down point to avoid doing the drain the pool butt slap. But more importantly, runners who had disdain for hotel butt slap could instantaneously be teleported to the roof, and the mission would complete thereafter. Naturally, the next question would be, how do we streamline this into a speedrun? The obvious choice would be fitting it into the get laid goal in the opening frame of Hawaii. But how, you may ask? Well, depending on whether you're doing a no warp run or an any percent or ASG run, the answer is a little different. The way it was eventually performed in no warp is when doubling back to the 2 lays closest to the pink hotel, you do a hotel butt slap. Not super worth it, but you can at least save yourself from one uncertain butt slap instead of doing both. With any percent, we get those first 2 lays first. while Fogg would later come up with a route to the hotel roof with a grind off the tree, a wall plant off the pink hotel, and grinding the awnings and wire to the top, the other crazed Canadian-born speedrunner was desperately trying to find an apt use for boost plants, which led to the lay plant, a riskier yet flashier variant with a shorter shelf life. Come on man, look at that, isn't that cooler looking? Life's not fair. This Hawaii segment would also boast much quicker luau comp heats due to heavier reliance on special tricks. After washing his hands of Slam City Jam, Silent presses on to Vancouver 2, finishing the rest of Vancouver 1's goals, avoiding loading times, as short as they may be. And some can line up decently well, like guest passes in VC1 to Circa in VC2. In Moscow, he goes from Serve the People Chapter 20 to Gap Hunting Chapter 21. In an attempt to maximize efficiency on the lip trick-centric goal in Moscow, Silent Laws would perform a lip trick, jump, and land back into a different lip trick. Silent applied the butt slap over the lip of a pool for an easier time at the bell butt slap. To net the amount of points for manuals on Circus Act in a more timely manner, Silent gets special first and utilizes a special manual to do so. Gap Hunting shows a slightly different take, initiating with Blocked Alley, attempting an unsuccessful ledge hop gap, and recovers with the double drainage gap along with the 3 lip trick gaps in the surrounding area, pipe stall, mid-level lip, and top-level lip. Using our drafted team of pro skaters, Silent assigns the likes of Tony and Bam, the usual point earners, to the respective Tampa and Vancouver pro challenges, while others are left to contend with the more challenging goals, Manhattan Spot, Slamma-Jamma, and San Diego transfer goals. Speaking of which, after completing a transfer at the foot of the steps, Silent power slides and holds forward and butt slaps over the wall, leaving New Jersey spine transfer goal as last on the list, for convenience's sake.
You poached my shots! Where's my footage?
Oh man, I couldn't bring myself to tell you. See, there was this thing at Customs.
Lying secret.
Familiar face the Packle making another appearance. Stemming from discoveries produced from his first tasking experience, Packle noticed you can prematurely jump and float to the ending point of high lines while still acquiring the gap. Second up is the infamous video skip, accidentally discovered by TK Mala. The original video skip proved to be a harder trick to pin down even with the context of a TAS. Much like the skateboard parts in the Help Eric goal, the tapes in Moscow can float vertically at different speeds. A subtle difference, but enough to where specifying a frame where the skip can occur is harder to do. But, like I mentioned in my Eric skip segment, what you really want is to skip over the completion message and the save box, which in turn skips the follow-up Peralta video reel as well. Easier said than done though. If you're a Jedi, you can time some perfect ollie button presses, you can pray and mash, or pause buffer and pray, all of which can still end in failure, a 15-second buffer. Isn't speedrunning this game just grand?
And please don't hand me anything from the same old spots, because I've seen it all.
Done. No local spots and different tricks.
With Packle's most recent beginner any percent world record fresh in people's minds, containing solid play and the most noteworthy skips like Eric skip and the difficult video skip, along with the first ever THUG1 GDQ run waiting in the wings, THUG1 was in a strange spot. A big question mark being if someone was death-defying enough to try and claim the coveted record, or if there was any new strats that lay dormant. Pokemon Ace 101, in short, was a fiery teenage Tony Hawk speedrunner who had crossed over into several Tony Hawk territories. His major breakout began in the Story All Goals category on the easy difficulty for Tony Hawk's Underground 2, the game that would initiate a strat that would blow the modern Tony Hawk games wide open. Paulie Wheels of Fury Ryan has a goal in which you perform a sit flip off a roof and acid drop into this ramp. Ace had grown tired of Paulie's shit to the point where he wondered if he could name a created trick sit flip verbatim and apply to a created skater or Bam Margera to see if it would work. Well, it did. This occurred while in a call with other Tony Hawk speedrunners, one of which was Sub-Zero Reptile, who tried it for Tony Hawk's Underground, and yep, worked again. The community began experimenting, seeing what all you could do. Gaps don't work, and spins don't work, and it seems as though reverts are another one as well. One of the goals we have wanted to use created tricks for were the trick goals, but you cannot have multiple save files of a trick with the same name. But Sub was on top of things once again. Usually when you try to rebind tricks, it simply shuffles them around, but Sub found an exploit where if you bind a throwaway created trick onto a slot first, and then bind the desired created trick over top of that, they don't get shuffled and you can rebind every slot with the same trick, essentially eliminating RNG on most goals depending on your setup. Some kept a Madonna where it was, some had a shifty, Some had both, Nutbuster on one, Soul Skating on the other, Handstand taking priority, recently all FS Shifty all the way. Some of the 1 or 2 use tricks on the diagonals because most goals just have basic directions save for the New Jersey 2 Trick Tris goal. The 1 or 2 use tricks on the double direction tap moves, difficulty dependent setups like Boneless taking the driver's seat while Nolly got more love on normal and sick difficulties. And the name of this trick? Cat Bag. Create a trick, broken ass game. Taking inspiration from a Twitch emote of the same name. The best part of it all, the first world record using Cat Bag was from TH126. Right off the bat, we see the results unfolding, completely cutting down RNG from New Jersey's Trick Tris goal. TH also grinds the left side of the rooftops on way to a scrap metal piece. In Manhattan, we witness a refinement to the help student goal, with a hop to the wire on the left after acquiring the first purse item, a comparatively faster path than the prior. Boy, I bet Stacy Peralta is going to be upset when he sees we only did a handful of tricks over the taxi because of frickin' Cat Bag. On the normal and sick difficulties of old school skating techniques, you need to do a no comply to manual and flip out. But since created tricks don't traditionally count as flip tricks, TH's solution is simply to keep a flip trick equipped to complete the goal. Tampa also saw the RNG goals, Party Boat, and Impress Tony being brought to their knees. Instead of taking a chance of missing the towel rack drain the pool butt slap, TH does a butt slap out of the pool up to the ledge. Bit of an unfortunate result here. TH thought he had unlocked the hotel roof warp, but it remained closed. Thinking on his feet, he doubles back and butt slaps off this island up to the ledge. Another discovery found around the same time as Packle's original THUG1 Sick task was during the closer of Slam City Jam. Being that you have to complete the goal in a combo, it's fairly quicker than the other difficulties as it is. But the last object you need to trick on is the rail. You don't even need to air off the ramp, just land after grinding the rail. Skipping to straight out of Moscow, TH126 drops into the ditch surrounding the dome and skates up to the ledge and butt slaps over to the pool. Another Cat Bag time save coming by way of flat ground soul skating. Lastly, for the New Jersey 2 Trick Tris goal, TH seemed to do everything properly, but RNGesus had other plans.
I can't believe I did that! That's the best thing I ever filmed!
It's the best thing anybody ever filmed!
Soon after TH126's run, Ace secured a world record on beginner any percent, dethroning long-standing predecessor the Packle. The first refinement would be a speedier quick muska, with a rapid boneless 180 judo to 180 Madonna combination to clinch the points. This next trick was a result of what would become a trend of someone indirectly, or in some cases directly, setting a challenge for Ace to find something new, to which he would deliver time and time again. Silent had commented about a recent lapse in activity of THUG1, and it being an opportune time to produce a tutorial series, to which Ace took it upon himself to find a couple new bridge skip setups, with the one you're seeing being the final draft. First, you perform a brief skitch. Release and leap over the fence and land into a grind on the pool. If you haven't gotten special before the pool grind, you may want to grind the pool with a double tap grind. Jump off the pool and right up the slope and eke between the post and fence and finally butt slap the bridge. Now, up until this point, beginner at 8% has stuck with Andrew's combos over Party Boat because of low point combos and lots of different tricks you need to knock out. But with the benefit of Cat Bag, RNG be gone. Ergo, we kicking it with Bam on the Wet Beaver from now on. And on the good old stickers goal, Ace wall rides the sticker and grinds the roof of the little building, skating across the roof and jumping to the pipe for a more direct line before dropping down to ground level again and closing it out with a final wall ride. An unlikely improvement coming by way of the tedious skitching San Diego goal. Usually you have to skitch the security cart and dodge guards who will slug you before getting your team's decks back. Unpro found that if you skitch, jump, and then skitch again, the second is immediately stripped from the timer. The only cons is the cart will periodically speed up, and if you hold forward or nick the cart, you can easily come crashing to the ground and the cart driver will begin to make a speedy getaway. So you need to be careful, mix up your jump timings, and be mindful of your inputs so you don't crash or ricochet off the tail end of the cart. With this, your ending position is a lot closer to the snot-nosed kid, so you can simply turn and skate to him. No menu needed. Finishing up the demo, Ace's own personalized combo rears its head. Boneless 180 judo piling up some flatland tricks on the pipe before acid dropping in. Hawaii saw some of the most significant changes. Starting things off right, Ace menus to speak Hawaiian instead of get laid, because on easy difficulty, the last letter ends up at get laid anyways. Instead of waiting for your skater to air all the way up and all the way down, Ace levels out and lands on top of the bowl in what looks to be a bit of a scary strat for something that saves only a few seconds. The balls on this guy. Off the walls. I'm assuming because of the beginning and end markers for this gap, this goal allows more than it probably should. While on sick difficulty, you can sometimes get away with grinding the railing in the ditch when doing the back and forth manual. This strat kicks things up a notch, airing off the kicker to the right with a handstand cat bag and grinding the couple fences before jumping back to the trigger for the gap. Instead of launching off the kicker for the hotel roof transfer, another micro time save involves butt slapping the remainder of the roof just to the left of the ramp for more control of your airtime. CMAC had toyed with the idea of quickening the pace of the McTwist helicopter finale and had discovered that if you do either a regular McTwist or a cat bag McTwist over the far right side of the ramp, it triggers the gap and cuts out the sweet slow-mo effect, hence the appropriate name, No Slow-Mo Bro. The only drawbacks are as follows. The trigger zone for the gap is different on sick, so it requires for a different setup. Not too big of a deal though. The other issue is retrying if you botched your first attempt. The goal you're performing of course requires a McTwist. Because you're auto-forced into the goal upon completing the first segment, it isn't mandatory to rebind your McTwist to your special slot. But, if you do retry, uh-oh, they're on to me! Bring the car around! Fuck! Alright, but if you mistakenly retry the mission, a text box will pop up asking to reassign the gnarly trick to your special slot or to skip this challenge. If the timer is still running, you can skip this challenge and make your way to the hotel roof warp, or just train yourself to do that to begin with without hitting retry goal. If you run out of time, however, you have no choice but to rebind the McTwist special trick. Much like other trick goals on beginner, they throw a lot less tricks at you, so you can afford to part with a few slots for truck stand, pogo, and 2 rail, and at times you can even try to predict what the next couple of freestyle tricks will be. I believe it was Yib who found the retry party drag strat. Unlike the Manhattan Dex goal where the cycle keeps going, if you retry goal on party drags, it will always reset the thieves starting point, and it doesn't exactly cost any extra time to do so you can catch up to them a lot quicker. Ace puts a little zest on it, with busting through and grinding the ledges through the tunnel and branching off to nab the first culprit. Ace, being a Tony Hawk math major, attempted to refine the execution of subspines. A butt slap 720, and 3 regular 360s netted him 11 spins, enough to dismantle the satellite tower. And through memorizing what button combinations lead to each stall, Ace annihilated the lip tricks in the Do All the Tricks goal.
Hey, check out the ad for the Idaho Kid! This demands a party!
TK Mullet had repeatedly clawed his way to the top of the beginner no warp category, his old stomping grounds. Showing off a few new borrowed strats, Heaney and Sub-Zero collaborated on a faster method of completing the security stew goal. While Heaney's video showed a complete circle and jumping off at a specific spot on the circle grind to get the second gap required for beginner, it was later found that no complete circles are necessary at all. By jumping off at a certain point, turning around, grinding, and jumping off soon after, you can burn through the goal like nothing. As we've seen, with certain scoring goals, you don't always have to keep within the view of the person you're trying to wow with your skills. Similarly enough, you can begin your combo within the confines of the building and land your combo outside of the building and it still registers, handy for no warp in particular. One of Ace's many attributed strats making its world record debut, advancing forth but not too quickly as TK puts his skater in the line of fire as their approaching team bus hits him. This out of bounds warp places you at the entry doors of Slam City Jam, after which TK grinds to the left and loops around with a quick ascent to the top rail.
I want to do it right this time. Show the kids what skating's really about.
A long prophesized category, it was said Dark Shabara had attempted to work on it, Yosh had planned a route for it, and THUG1 100% finally came to a head in 2018, as CMAC would submit the formative run of the category, and not long after, so would current world record holder Rushy. Similar to Project 8, runners use a goal's starting position to their advantage, retrying when necessary to, and go elsewhere within close proximity to rapidly clean out gaps. This makes up for most of the innovations of this run, as Thug hasn't seen a big discovery in a while. During Impress Sean, Rushy would conduct a slick high-level lip gap and jump to the rooftop. Upon gaining access to the train station, Rushy wipes out most of the gaps in the area. The Nutbuster goal would act as another hub for the Englishman, as he would retry when needed and knock out the gaps within the building. Those construction workers better be impressed, cause Rushy did some extra credit, obtaining the For the Workers gap, retrying, and then obtaining the Who's Your Daddy gap. Grind combos would be the goal he fits the freeway stall into. During Help the Student, Rushy obtains ledge hop, wire to ledge, chase hop, and across the street, before backtracking to the third purse item where he would crank out the rail to ledge and credit check gaps before moving forth to execute No Train for You and finally complete the goal. Mirroring his contemporary C-Mac, Rushy would get gaps in each skate spot, pyramid jump, back and forth, and Mike Vallely. Attempting to kick off Chapter 5 with a bang, Rushy would go for a butt slap off the ledge up to the tape. I like the thought. While snagging the steaming hot nuts for the guards, Rushy also picked up the human fly gap as well. Old school skating techniques. When going for the no comply combo, Rushy sketches a car and uses that to travel all the way to the subway building and did a sweet lip trick. Extreme stall! Also the grind gaps along the waterfront spot. Alright, this next part is going to sound a little weird with these gap names. Rushy snags Johnny Chicken Melt during Skateboard Bandit, Wilt Soup and Revenge, the D'Amato and other surrounding gaps in area during Prove Yourself, and a murderer's row of gaps during Wall Plant combo, Rob's Patty Melt Plate, Fine Art Appreciation, Waterway Grind, Waterway Manual, Ledge to Rail, Wet Beaver, and Bart's Chili. Hawaii, same deal, Drain the Pool, Rail Hop, Ledge Hop, and the Park and Ride Pop. Luau Comp, Pink Palace Entry, Pink Roof Transfer, and Pink Pad Manual. For a lengthier time grinding, Rushy performs his Crook's Dark Slide grind along the hotel ledges. Both during and after the course of the flat ground mission in Vancouver, Rushy seeks out gaps in the surroundings. Trudging on to combo the passes where Rushy would follow suit, cleaning house at the Slam City Jam entrance. Pretty neat idea here. After getting the hotel to Superior Court gap, Rushy butt slaps back to the hotel edge, getting him right back on track. Hold up, Eric, I'm not ready to whoop you yet. Just gotta go run some errands. Utilizing the starting position of the best of the show goal, Rushy accomplishes a set of specific gaps. DJ Cubert, Impress Judge's Manual, Impress Judge's Transfer, Cross the Floor Manual, Glass on the Side, and Glass Hop. The last thing I noted was a neat butt slap combo while completing the second S combo. Now for some honorable mentions. For these, I'll try to cover a few strats from each, despite there being more to pick at. Silent Laws would pick up on a suggestion from Thug Pure Piatters. As he had noted, it's possible to sketch the drug dealer's vehicle. Sketching the SUV causes a rapid increase in speed towards the checkpoint. Although the funny footnote of this eventually leading to Eric's skip has already been noted, another citation is needed. An SDA poster had alluded to this years before it ever materialized in the speedrun. Moral of the story, do your research. Look everywhere. There's a couple out of bounds usages, resetting position during Impress the Girls in Hawaii, and a plunge into the water after filming the local to quickly warp to the lower level, and a couple tasty combo setups. Notably, a Slam City Jam vert comp combination of a kickflip underflip to McTwist for high scoring heats, and increased utilization of Indy 900s in the Tampa THPS Challenge. While duplicating Chris's line, Fate would grind the ending portion of that rail without going around the bend. While we witnessed the wall shuffling to the apex of the building for Afro Jim's goal, Fate pioneered the butt slap off to the roof from the half pipe. And for the kickflip wedding goal, Fate whipped out a route I'd never seen before. After the opening photo, Fate turns around and breaks out a boneless over the pool, scoops up the second picture before picking up a minor sketch boost to the third photo spot. Mostly console speedrunners have acquired Daytime Moscow. Packle executed on PC and used it to his benefit. Being that you respawn in the next chapter still in the dome, this gives you a much faster path to Anonymous Caller. The goal we usually kick off the chapter with anyways, netting a major advantage for the runner. Back-to-back Packle? Packle has a habit of accidentally stumbling across happenings that would later become a strategy, namely busts out of bounds and retry party dregs, or discovering a bug that defied explanation until later, such as the vending machine retry glitch. It functions much like the poster retry glitch. If you wall plant and leave just enough time to kick off, but not too early and retry the goal, the counter will carry over. Wall plant the vending machine and it will give you an extra wall plant as well. Silent worked away at sick any %, trying to brainstorm a slew of butt slap centric combos. Impress Muska, Tampa Am comps, Luau comp, the pressure nollie combo while filming Tom's part, Slam City Jam comps, rating stunts, and score big. While in his sub 47 minute run, he used Big Law's lifesaver of a find, Easy Vid Skip. As detailed before, the original vid skip is hard, but Big Law discovered that if you hit the start and ollie button when the save message is on the screen, it brings up the pause menu and allowing a much easier way to skip over the Peralta video cutscene altogether, opening the floodgates for many others to consistently nail the trick, going from 2 Packle world records with the original video skip to 15 plus world record instances of easy vid skip by 5 unique runners. When New Stew was birthed, I had wondered if you could combine it with Stew Skip. Rushy managed to catch lightning in a bottle by getting both Stew strats. You know what, I've never been so impressed by something that saves so little time. I jest. But seriously, in a world record run, it's definitely a cool happenstance. And guys, that is the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. It took a lot of time and effort, so, you know, if I could be compensated a little bit, that'd just be lovely, wouldn't it? And not just because I want comments on this video, but I really want to get a discussion rolling. What Tony Hawk runs brought you guys here? Or rather, what Tony Hawk runs inspired you to run, or keep watching, like, let me know. I know I have a few that definitely motivated me to start running and, you know, look more into it. So thanks for watching, guys.